We begin IST 420 with a look at the context of how applications work together to form an enterprise of information systems within an organization. So the term enterprise integration is different from enterprise application integration. Enterprise integration is a very broad term, and it looks at the architecture of systems across an entire organization. And it involves many different levels, but the key is it's much broader. The term enterprise application integration focuses at the application level. And that's what we will be doing in IST 420. We are going to look at applications and how to model those so that when we go to integrate them, we understand how they work, what they do, what functions they perform, and we do that through a set of UML models.
I have pulled out 4 focus questions for the EAI reading, and I will focus the PowerPoint presentation to address these 4 questions. What is meant by a stovepipe application? Well, stovepipe applications are also called standalone applications. And before we had the advances in technology that we see today, for example, XML is just one example, middleware is another. We built systems that were standalone. And so if you wanted an order entry system, you built an order entry system, and that was it. And there were inputs to the order entry system and outputs to the order entry system. And the outputs were usually reports, and the inputs were transactions. So an order entry system would be called a transaction processing system. As enterprises and organizations became more sophisticated and technology made leaps and bounds, we now have the ability and the need to have applications talk to one another directly. And to do that, we integrate them so that applications which were previously standalone or stovepipe applications are now interoperable with one another. So in 301, for instance, we learned about ERP systems, Enterprise Resource Planning Systems. SAP is the largest provider of ERP systems. Right? That is an interoperable system. It took back office functions and integrated them into a single enterprise application system. That's the goal in organizations today. We have such advances in technology that we can cross platforms and integrate what we would never have been able to integrate before. So what is enterprise application integration? The text provides this definition: the creation of business solutions by combining the functionality of an enterprise's existing applications, its commercial packaged applications, and new code using common middleware. Middleware is application-independent software that provides services to integrate applications, and we will spend time in IST 421 talking about middleware. It sits between applications and pulls them together so that they become integrated, in a nutshell. So EAI is at the application level. It takes different systems and makes them work together through software and some hardware. Customer relationship management systems are a good example of an EAI application. CRM systems, customer relationship management systems, were a follow-on to ERP systems. So first there was ERP systems, and then came supply chain management systems, which we'll talk about, and customer relationship management systems. So CRM systems take a 300 or enable a 360-degree view of uh, a company's customers. So if you are a bank, for instance, systems are integrated now so that if you are dealing with someone at the bank and they can look at your checking, your savings, if you have a mortgage, the stocks in your portfolio, if you have car loans, etc. You don't need to be transferred to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different departments or 5 different people. All those what would be separate systems previously are now integrated, and by accessing one portal, a bank official or a person can look at all that information and help you, the customer. Makes it very nice. It's also CRM systems, not only good for the customer, it's obviously good for the organization. So depending, for instance, on your checking and your savings, you may qualify for a lower mortgage rate. Depending on your payments of your mortgage, you qualify for a lower uh, interest rate on your car loan, etc. So organizations can use that information. It's integrated in one place to get a look at the customer and sell more services to the customer. Supply chain management is another great example of an EAI system. So a supply chain is a system of organizations, people, activities, information, and resources involved in moving a product or service from the supplier to the customer. So, and supply chain management is the management of that network of interconnected businesses involved in providing the goods and services. So in 301, we had a lesson on supply chain management, and we had a case study involving Walmart. Walmart is a leading example of the use of information technology to integrate supply chain participants, companies in the supply chain, together to benefit logistics, distribution, sourcing of materials. All that is involved in delivering goods and services to customers. And so, with an efficient supply chain, Walmart is able to keep its prices very low. Right? It's with these integrated applications across. This is across organizations. Without that interoperability, there would be no integrated supply chain. And there would, management of a supply chain would just be extremely difficult. So, technology, once again, when used to integrate applications, can really benefit the end consumer and the companies within the supply chain. So, what are the barriers to getting effective EAI within an organization? There are many. Getting to the point of a Walmart, for instance, is no easy feat. It's very complicated. Interoperability is very complicated. It's getting easier because we're advancing in technology, but there have been many failures in attempts to implement EAI within organizations and then do it across organizations, all the more difficult. In the past, EAI was attempted on a very large scale, and we have learned, as is typical, not to set our sights so large at the beginning of new technologies. And so now many companies begin in a more piecemeal fashion, but it's very helpful to have a long-term architecture plan in place so that you know where you're headed. Many companies, can't get out of the planning phase, so you can plan yourself to death, but you do need a plan to make it all work. Of course, there's a lack of skilled people who know how to do integration. You guys are going to help fill that need. And as always, as we see more and more every day, there is an increased need for security as applications become more integrated.